Hello everyone, and welcome to the final round of the Shamkir Chess tournament, which is the Gashimov Memorial. We have a game between Magnus Carlsen and Liren. And before we start the game, there is E4 for some reason on the board already. Before we start the game, I have a question for you, and don't search the comments or don't try to browse the internet. Just try and see if you can actually remember. Can you remember when was the last time Liren lost a game in classical time format? So not blitz, not rapid, but when was the last time Liren lost a game in classical time format? But we'll get back to this after the game. So this is the last round. Carlsen is leading the tournament by half a point, and Liren basically needs a win against Carlsen to win Gashimov Memorial 2018, and he has the black pieces against the world champion. So Carlsen opens with E4. We have E5, knight to F3, knight C6, knight to C3, and knight to F6, the 4 knights opening, or the 4 knights game. Bishop to B5, the Spanish variation of the 4 knights, and now Liren goes for knight to D4. This is somewhat of a... Well, you're not gonna see this variation played too much on a high level, although I've seen some games. It's a very old variation. It's called Rubinstein variation. I think the first instance this opening was used was in a game Akiba Rubinstein himself used it against Bogolyubov in 1920, although Rubinstein lost that game, but nevertheless. So knight to d4, knight captures, pawn captures, and now e5. It's interesting, e5 could be the strongest idea now. I have no idea how the theory goes about this variation, but there are a couple of options. You could go knight d5, but after knight captures, pawn captures, then white also has doubled pawns. So not really something white wants to do. Other thing, after e captures on d4, you could go for knight to e2, and who knows, maybe this is what Liren was hoping for, to maybe get an interesting game and perhaps some winning chances. So after, for example, knight captures, and the bishop to c5, you could go into a very sharp variation with knight to f5, where white would actually allow a capture on f2, but capturing on f2 doesn't really give black anything. If you capture with the bishop, simply king to f1, and capturing with the knight loses the queen e2, and after you move the king, rook f1 will trap this knight. So a lot of ideas here, but Carlsen didn't want to have any of this. After he captures on d4, he went for e5. He wants to exchange pieces, as Carlsen only needs a draw to win this tournament. So d captures on c3, we have e captures on f6, and queen captures on f6, and Carlsen immediately goes for queen to e2. This comes with check, and Ding blocks at queen to e7, offers a trade of queens, not afraid of going into an equal endgame against Carlsen. D captures on c3, queen captures, king captures, and bishop to c5. So basically the position is pretty much the same. Both players have a bishop pair, both players have 7 pawns, 2 rooks. Only Carlsen's pawn structure is somewhat worse than Ding's, as he does have a doubled c-pawn, but it's nothing black can really take advantage of. Bishop to e3, bishop captures, king captures. There's no point in keeping the king anywhere safe. It's the endgame. The king has to play an active role. c6, bishop to d3, we have d5, and now rook 8 to e1. King to e7, and now we have c4. So undoubling the pawns, pawn captures, bishop captures, and now rook to d8. We have rook to d1. Carlsen wants to simplify the position even further. Bishop to e6, bishop captures, king captures, and now rook to e1. Now it's a completely equal position. Rook captures, rook to e8. We have f4, f5, king to f3, rook to e7, and now rook to e1 check. King to f6, rook to d1, king back to e6. Giri basically offers a threefold repetition, as he really can't hope for anything more here. So rook e1, king f6, rook d1, king e6, and after rook e1, it's a threefold repetition. The players agreed to a draw. So that's the game, and it's an interesting idea going for this Rubinstein variation, but Carlsen immediately went for e5 exchange to a pair of knights, and then exchange queens, and then he really will not lose this game. But yeah, The game was drawn here, and how many of you could remember the last time Ding Liren lost a game with the in classical time format? I tried to remember, and then I thought, okay, he played that. No, he didn't lose a game there. And when I finally checked, okay, let me just, I do have it prepared. I just haven't loaded it in my interface. Okay, so let's just load it. Okay, so here are Ding Liren's games in classical time format from 2018. So there we have games from the World Chess Championship candidates, and you have games from the all the games from the Gashimov Memorial. So if you look at this, there is not a single loss for Ding Liren. He has a win against Mamedyarov in the World Championship candidates, and he has a win against Navarra here in Gashimov Memorial, and also a win against Rauf Mamedov. Also from Gashimov Memorial, and there you can see the last game, Carlsen versus Ding Liren. This was a draw. So so far in 2018, not a single loss for Ding Liren. So I had to dig even further to find when was the last time Ding Liren actually lost a game in classical time format, and I was able to find it. It was a game against Rhe1 Rd1, played in the World Cup in Tbilisi, Georgia last year in September. So that's like a long time ago, over half a year passed since Ding Liren lost his last classical game. So quite an achievement, and you know, I think he just needs like a little more to start really winning games. Okay, he did have that match against Carlsen, if you all remember the Champions Showdown, where he had a lot of rapid games and a lot of blitz games against Carlsen. There, Carlsen really annihilated him, but those weren't classical games; those were blitz and rapid. And here, okay, I did prepare the standings for you. Let me just load those. Here are the standings. Let's just see that. Okay, Gashimov Memorial Tournament final standings. There you have it. Magnus Carlsen first with 6 out of 9, 3 wins, 0 losses, 6 draws. And then follows Ding Liren with 5.5, also without a single loss. Mamedyarov with 4.5 out of 9, 1 win, 1 loss, and 7 draws. Then Wojtaszek Radoslav, also 4.5, Anish Giri 4.5, and Timur Rajabov also 4.5. Timur Rajabov, only player with no, he's not the only player. Oh wait, what's this? Ah, sorry. These are the final standings before one game is still going on. So these aren't really the final standings. But okay, Carlsen will always be first. You can see that Topalov is 4 out of 8 and Karakin is 4 out of 8. But even if okay, if any of them win, then we can have either Topalov or Karakin in 3rd place instead of Mamedyarov. So that's one thing that can happen. I will inform you about this in my next video, or I will add it in the comment. Yeah, I didn't take that into account, that one game was still being played. But yeah, that's basically it. I do hope you enjoyed it, and I do hope you enjoyed this tournament. So a very nice win by Carlsen, and he shows that he's still, you know, in top form, even though he describes his game as mediocre. But he is still able to win such an elite tournament such as the Gashimov Memorial. So yeah, that's the game. I do hope you enjoyed it. I would like to thank Nuncio Briglia, Gabriel Jackson, Mateus Vinitsky, and Borut Petrolin for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon. And of course, as usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all.